XRP holders would looking at this chart of XRP on a daily and asking this question, okay, that does look bullish. We found a support while other assets were slowing down. We bounced off while others like the big caps, Ether, Bitcoin, they were going down. So what should we watch for the next move? Can we break this to the upside? Are we going to break this to the downside? What does the RSI show us here for XRP on a 3-day chart? Because the price is now trying to bounce back into green territory. You want a daily close day. You want a 3-day close day. Remember, last time this was green, it was back in May. Then it went red. Now it's starting to turn back green. Why the hell is that important? When you turn green close to a support or at a support, that usually marks the local bottom. Now, arguably you may do a retest. Arguably sometimes you may not. But in any case, that kind of gives you an idea where this asset is headed. But the recent past also shows us something in the market where we should be a little bit cautious. So let's first break these down into easy parts so that we understand what the market is kind of informing us based on the recent past itself, because some of these does show you a huge heavy red flag. What if you knew that here or just at this point? It would have been perfect, right? Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. It's not just saying it, it's showing you guys before it happens. So this is INJ injective protocol posted for the SI family back in Jan 15th. So it's been few months already. Now look at the thought process shared here. You're looking for a negative divergence where the price should do this and the RSI should do this, which means price goes up, RSI drops back down. Now you jump on to INJ itself. What do you actually see here? This is that point where we are arguing at 40, saying it should go up somewhat like 50, 52. It went up to like 54. I mean, that's still accurate. And then it formed what? A negative divergence as I was arguing. So if you are someone in the market looking at, okay, what the hell did the market show you last time? When the negative divergence came in, this particular asset started dropping hard. Yes, there was retest, but that did not start trending higher, or it did not put in another high. And that was the end for this asset. The difference, however, is say for Bitcoin. The negative divergence, even in the last cycle, if you look at, did not mark the top. And that's asset to asset, it's different. So you need to know which of these assets should be high level of concern and a get out signal when you actually have a negative divergence. Because first part here is when does that happen on a higher time frame. So a monthly or weekly, you can rely on them. So last time, as you all already know, this was that negative divergence. Still, the price went back up $20,000. So that's Bitcoin for you, the manipulated asset. Now, it's not just one asset which is manipulated, but there is a hell lot of them. But this is what we should be eyeing at too. This trend line is something we have talked about. This pattern is something we've talked about, which gave us this thought process. What? 72, 73. And that's one of the reasons why back then, around 74, so that's back in March, I was personally arguing in the SI family like negative divergence is something to look for. We want the negative divergence. So that negative divergence call was close to 73,000. And if you go back on different assets, this was few months early. And this came in a couple of months after that at 73,000. But it was on a 3-day chart. So the perfection was not there. Whereas this one was weekly. It should be perfect, right? So the thought process of negative divergence, now if you look at the market, the argument which I put in a week back looks clear. We were looking for what? A negative divergence, a completion of that. Now we got that. Fine. What are we looking at? History, historical movements. So the Bitcoin on a macro, last cycle, this cycle, take everything. Break it down and you will see just this, which means the trend line, the macro trend line on the RSI still has some room to the downside. That's where you need some more patience. But then you also remember that this is something which any bull in this market would be looking at. But we need to keep an eye on this and say, okay, this is something with higher odds. You should not neglect it. Agreed, because it's also forming at a time when Bitcoin is doing this. So there is a higher probability that this can actually play out. But then the only thing you need to look for in the sense of a top formation is negative divergence. And last time, see, it's not just the first negative divergence, it's about the second one, right? You go up, you form another one. That does not look good. Then again, you go up, that forms another one. So you had multiple negative divergence formation within Bitcoin on a weekly during like 3 months span. So that's something you should not neglect. Right here, we got one negative divergence completed and XRP is already starting to respond. Remember, in the yesterday's video, I gave you all the breakdown based on the Bitcoin dominance, based on when XRP dropped, when it bounced, what Bitcoin was doing at that time, which means something to look for. Remember, the negative divergence call in the assets like Solana when others were selling you a super high upside. Look at what the price has done after that. The idea here is the price going up, RSI not agreeing with it. And if you watch that, you can kind of see, okay, that kind of makes some sense because the price action has actually done the 1, the 2, the 3. Now, most likely you're going to do the ABC. Then if you're a long-term guy in this asset, you would argue, boom, it is going higher. Fine, but this trend line is kind of valid, right? Solana on a weekly shows you December 2022 as one point, then June 2023 as the next touch on that trend line. That's where you are extending that line. Then the next touch around October 2023. After that, you actually went up. This is something like the touch and run pattern. The 1, the 2, the boom, right? So we have few assets which are now trying to actually do that on the macro. We talked about XRP and its possibilities in yesterday's video. And that means XRP playing such a movement while all others are shaky like this is going to attract FOMO for sure. Any asset for that matter, let it be a meme coin, let it be a shit coin, whichever it is, it kind of attracts a lot of capital in the market because they don't care about utility. All that they are looking for is something which is running high so I can catch the green candle, right? So that is the thought process in the market. So on the weekly candle, XRP showed you a hammer, which was positive because it was at the support. Now it's starting to generate a bullish engulfing candle, which again is super bullish for this asset. But the trouble is, the entire market should respond. This asset going to the sky when the entire market is going down, 90% it won't happen. We don't know what that 10% would look like. Maybe some central banks name this asset for their CBDC tie-ups, for their central bank swap markets. I don't know. But as of now, that's just 10%. Let's look at the 90% odds. Let's look at these assets which are showing you, I want to go down, right? So you are watching the trend line being broken on Solana after the 1, 2, 3. So the wave 1 is completed in this cycle. Now we're going to go for the ABC. And if you go back in history for this particular asset, what do you notice? Now this is very important. Each and every asset has its own history. If it actually drops 70-80% each time, be prepared for that. If it drops 30-40, fine, look for that. But if it is an asset which shows you it drops like this at least twice, expect at least twice. There is no magic in here, right? Now we go to Ether. Short term, the micro, this is very zoomed in. This is a 4-hour chart on Ether, which is showing you this trend line, which started from 5th of June till this point. You broke that to the upside. Initially, that was a downward resistance, keeping the price below. Now the price broke that and it's trending above that. It's retesting it as a support. I gave you guys this before saying, okay, watch, this is going to be at that point where you get any reversal. I would look for micro bullish movements. Yes, you have further resistance close to 3600 and the next one close to 3730. So these are two major resistance which you need to break. Now, as you go further, yeah, close to 3900, close to 44,000, you actually have that level of resistance. Sure. But again, that's a short-term chart. That's where you zoom out to ask yourself that question, what can I observe on a macro chart like this? Because a macro chart kind of give you the idea we're still here. Remember, we talked about the thought process of candle numbers. One candle to the upside. Now 1, 2, 3, and this is the 4th week in Ether, which is trying to retest the bottom of the last one candle which went up. So the strength is enormous. You don't have that amount of selling volume neutralizing this buying volume. So that's still valid in the market. Now, the momentum side of things have changed. Yes, it's slow. It's going down, coming back down to the weekly moving average at least. But understand, your direction has not been different. The monthly candle on Ether shows you this. Whether you're bullish on this asset, whether you hate this asset or not, this is what the market is showing. You got a bullish engulfing candle here, which is perfect. And it's on a monthly. And it's showing you there is a higher possibility that you may be doing the 1, the 2, the 3. Whether it's going to be 6,000, whether it's going to be 8,000, I don't care. When the price shows you are making a top, I would say, yeah, it's making a top. Before that, I wouldn't actually look for something which is not present in the market, right? So if the price is going up, fine. Then the RSI should go down. But when the price is going down and the RSI is going down, it's okay. It's just following that trend. Now, all that matters for us is a trend line which it is following. Because bouncing off from this trend line, which would be 3,200, is the most bullish scenario for Ether. Anything dropping below that would then put the argument that the trend line looks somewhat like this. You go above it, you go below it, you go above it, you go below it. So this is going to be the choppy move. So at that point, you are literally talking about 2,500. At least close that range if you give up 3,200, right? So if you bounce off from there, expect a continuation which is very decent for the altcoin market, which would 100% depend on the Bitcoin dominant side. We need to see a rejection there. We are still flirting at the highs. Initially, we got rejected, which was bullish, which was great. And if you go for the candlesticks analysis, you'll actually argue this one candle to the downside, which is 20th May that week, is now being retested at the top. And it took 1, 2, 3, 4. So one candle to the downside now took 4 candles to the upside. That's something to look for, because at that point it's showing you it's very weak. You don't have enough strength in the market to that side. So you zoom in, you want to see, okay, what the hell is happening? So you got one rejection when you tested that zone. Now you are re-attempting that. What if that's a trap? That's my speculation, my thought process. Maybe I'm wrong. But if the whales are whales and what they do is what they do, which we know, they would push it to the upside and then fake it back down. Most likely that's going to be something which we may look for. See a break, a fake, and then go back down. That's going to be the best outcome in the altcoin market as well. But remember, while the market is choppy, while the Bitcoin does its thing to the downside to reach a support and show you a reversal, that's where you need to go bullish. Not before that. Not before that. From here, don't get confused on the RSI, because the RSI should keep going down. It should not go back up. It won't trend back up. If the history is correct, then this is all that you're going to see. It may not trend above this. The perfect scenario is like this, still trending lower. Keep that in your mind. Follow the price action. And if you want help on your portfolio before that altcoin season, or if you are in wrong coins, which is dropping 90% right now on the spot, think about the market, because the market shows you there are assets like XRP, which is holding on. I mean, it's not down 90%, and we all know it didn't do that much to the upside as well. So that argument is fine. But if you're interested in other assets, look for the SI family using this link in the description, where we post things like this. Clearly saying, guys, watch. This is something to keep in your mind. And that was exactly the top. Just like the Luna, which we called out. Just like the FTX, which we called out. Just like the Celsius, which we called out. So there are things like this which makes the SI family different from any other community, because I don't think majority or even a minority saw Luna dropping that hard. Now, I thought a 70 to 80% drop, not 99.9 for sure. I didn't know that was coming, but I thought 90% drop was coming on Celsius, on Luna, on FTX. And you guys can see all the chart posted in Scientific Investor family. So guys, if you received value, smash that like button for me. And if you want to join the party, use this link in the description below. I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.